Welcome friends! Today we're gonna jump into Photoshop and I'll show you how I created this photo out of this one. I'll just walk you through my process in Photoshop. It's really not that long, so I hope you enjoy. And of course, if you like the video, please subscribe and like right now. And if you don't know me, I'm Anja Burgar. I'm a commercial food and product photographer based in Slovenia, and I'm here to teach you photography and how to run a successful photography business. Let's jump in. Okay, so this is the original photo that I took. Actually, I just made one little change. There was like a gap here, which I retouched, but I think mostly I won't be retouching anything else. I actually already took this photo, so this is kind of just going through this whole process again, just to show you how I did it. So I have my background layer here, and I'll just make a copy. Press Ctrl J. And I have a copy just so I have that background layer always available, the original version. And out of this layer, what I'll do first is the most annoying part out of this whole process is cut out the croissants. I could be using a pen tool and just go around them, but since the croissants have lots of like tiny details, I will actually use another way, which is a really helpful tool in my opinion, and that's the subject select tool. What I'll do is zoom out so I can see all the croissants, and then I'll just like roughly go around so it kind of knows what I want to select, and then I'll refine it later. So just like that. And I have, it's kind of okay-ish. It does have some, it selected this clamp here in the back. It's like not perfect. It doesn't have the holes here. So I'll actually go on and create a mask for this layer, which now, so I just pressed this mask icon, and it now just shows the, let me turn this off. It just shows what I've selected. So whatever is in white, I can see it here, and whatever is black, I can't see it here. But it's still indestructible because I can still kind of get back those things that are in black, which is why I like to use mask instead of cutting out things. And I'll leave the background off for now so we can see what we're doing. So if I zoom in again, we can see that there's like yellow here in the back. I want to kind of remove the entire background. What I can do is simply go to select and mask, or just double click on the mask itself, and I get another window, which is just helping me refine my selection. And then I'll just go zoom in, which I think I need to zoom in with this tool here, and just go use this, the quick selection tool, and I'll just go and see if there's anything to remove. Like if I want to add it to the selection, I just press it, and because you can see a plus in the middle of that sign, you can see it here. And if I want to remove something from the selection, I will hold Alt key, and it will show me the minus sign, and that's what will kind of help me remove things. I'll zoom in a little bit more close so we're more precise. Just make it a little bit smaller. Oops, sorry. I need to remove it. And it's kind of working okay. If something's not okay, I can still use just a regular brush here. Like this. This is not. So basically I'll just go around and try to remove or add things that are not working. I'll speed things up so you don't have to watch me do this in a slow-mo. Okay, and then I just press OK, and I have the new mask on. So next, what I want to do is, let's turn this on again, the background. I want to create my own bottom part, my own top part, so the colors are more even, and I can also change colors the way I want them to be. So what I'll do first is go and select a rectangle tool. And what I'll do is just I'll just go like very roughly and create a rectangle, and then I'll precisely find that point where it needs to end. And what I'm looking at here is the area here where the croissants is behind that. It was a paper, so behind the paper. So this was all in the front. I can go across that. We'll fix that later. You'll see it in a second. But I'm searching for that point where the croissant is kind of hiding behind the back, and that's this point here. Perfect. The color, I want to keep the colors grayscale, so it needs to be anywhere on this left line here. I just want to keep it grayscale because later in the process I'll add color manually, and it will change the color of the entire image all at once. I'll go with something bright. Let's say something like this. I can always change it later. And that's it. And then what I'll do, let's just name the layers here. Let's say croissants. It will be less distracting. And then here I'll just say bottom. And I'll duplicate this, Control J. I'll call it top. And what I'll do is just hold the bottom part of the rectangle and just bring it up to the top of the photo. I can go across the photo, it doesn't matter. Now it's all the same, but let's make the top a little bit darker, for example. And now you're just seeing the background. So I'll just grab the croissants layer and bring them to the top. And you can already see that it's kind of looking okay-ish, but we have something missing, and that's the shadow. There are different ways we can add the shadow, and since the shadow here, we can take a look, is quite sharp, we can actually cut it out in a very similar way as we did with croissants. So let's turn this on again, and I'll create another copy of the background, Control J, and let's call it shadow. Okay, and oops, let's actually turn this off again so we can see it. And then I'll go again into the object selection tool and try to go around. It will manually select, and I think it should be okay. And then again press the mask tool, which will just select the mask, the shadow. So we can see that there's only the shadow on this layer now. The problem here is, let's turn this all on, is that the shadow is now here in the bottom, which I'll bring right below the croissants. I want the croissants to be on top. But then if I zoom in, we have this weird spot here, just because the paper was not really straight, it was kind of a little bit wobbly. What I want to do here is we have this in the mask. So if I change anything outside this mask, it really won't do anything. So first, I just need to add a little bit to the mask. So I'll select a white, why is this not working? A white brush, completely white, and let's make it smaller. And I have to select the mask and then go in the mask. You'll see the original background, but that's what I want to change into the shadow. And then I'll go back into the shadow, the image layer, and select clone stamp tool. And then I'll just try to, sorry, the opacity needs to be set at 100, and then I'll just try to create that. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is there's like a glow around the croissant, which means that it's showing the original background, but in the croissants layer. So I'll just click on the masks of the croissants and turn this into, let's move me around, into a black, and I'll just manually remove this. This is so dark, like it won't really be visible to the eye if I'm not like super precise. Otherwise I could use some other tools, but that's fine here. don't worry about those white spots. We're gonna fix them in the shadows layer. Again, let's go to the clone stamp tool, just go and stamp. Oh, yeah, we need to make the mask a little bit bigger. So just like that. So basically I'm just making the mask bigger so that the changes I did with the clone stamp tool is actually visible. And I don't mind like going upwards here because the croissants are actually a layer above, so nothing will show even if I do this here. Okay, the shadow is kind of looking okay. The thing I don't like about the shadow is it has some texture of the paper. So I'll just select the shadow layer and go to filter and then noise and reduce noise. Let's have it like this. So that's with the texture and without the texture. Okay, so just fix that so it's a little bit smoother. It will work better on like the smooth color, not texture, but just color, extra color that we're adding. And now what we're seeing here is we have everything in gray, but the shadow is still in yellow. So what I'll do is make it black and white. Where is it? Yeah, like this. And we can actually create a clipping mask so it only affects the shadow. Okay. So we have like the basics here, and what we want to do now is colorize all of these things. What I'll do first is just to make it a little bit more easy in Photoshop to see things. I really like to group things. I'll select all of these layers that are background and shadow and just put them into one group. And I'll say color, let's say name them color. So basically we're changing color of those things inside. And as you can see, the background layer is turned off because it's just a copy. It doesn't really do anything here. And now if I want to change color, I can create a hue and saturation layer. I'll put it above the color group. And what I'll do is create a clipping mask. And now this clipping mask is only affecting whatever is in the color group. So this background, the bottom background, and the shadow. And that's our basis for changing the color. And how we change the color is just simply double click on this. It opens this tab and we can play around with it. So if I move this, nothing much will happen because I need to press colorize. And then I can just simply be very, very creative with it. There's an extra layer of something that we're gonna add later, but let's find that color. I think I was working with something a little bit more saturated in my original photo, and it was kind of like a reddish, orangish color. I don't know. Let's do something. It was probably something like that. Yeah, let's say something like that. But here, like you could see, we could really go into any direction. And we have the color, and then just one more thing in a photo like this, I really like to have kind of some glow behind the croissants. So what I'll do is inside the color group, I'll actually create, let's put it here, I'll create a new layer. And on that new layer, I'll select a brush and make that brush white. I think we can just go with white, and then create something very soft behind, like something that's going a little bit across the edge of the frame. So I'm just adding this. Let's put this in front. So something like this. Now it looks crazy, but we're gonna fix that. Okay. So as you can see, this new layer, this new layer is adding glow behind the croissants, but also it's adding glow to the front, and I don't want that to be affecting the front. So what I'll do is just select the bottom and the shadow. I'll put those together. So the bottom and the shadows are basically this part of the photo. I'll select those and just bring them to the top of the group. And you can see it doesn't have that glow anymore. And with that glow, which is now really crazy, I'll just play with the opacity and see where is that kind of nice spot where it's kind of glowing a little bit, but it's not too much. So if I turn it off and turn it on, I can actually make it even slightly less visible, and just adding kind of the pop of color into that photo. And that's basically it. This is how you would make a photo like this in Photoshop. Now, if I wanted to just change the color of the background, for example, if the client wasn't happy with the color or so on, it's just a press of a button. I will just go there and just change the hue, maybe change the saturation. Maybe they want something a little less saturated, maybe they want something purple. You can just go around and play with that. Okay guys, this was it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you do create like a similar project, I would love to see it on Instagram. Please tag me or maybe send it into my DMs so I don't miss it. I'll be happy to check it out. Have fun!